The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
And it's a Friday.
Yep, and we were already attacked by the government.
Off we go, huh?
Well, you know, I wanted to start the show with an April Fool's joke, and it just would have been in bad taste. I wanted the opening to break off into color bars with a message saying, the government has decided that Spindle City Straight Talk is detrimental to the public. The decision has been rendered to execute the hosts and render their supporters
or at least
irrelevant.
Detrimental to government.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we were paid a visit momentarily by City Councilor Pam Laliberte-Lebeau outside, and you walked right by her, Chip.
Look, I don't interrupt other people's conversations.
I understand that.
I actually didn't even know who it was. All I saw was the back of her head.
Yeah,
So.
and she wanted to respond to the fact that I had made commentary that I was not allowed to present an anti-Narcan proposal or dissenting opinion, because we know that Pam Laliberte-Lebeau is an absolute liberal, and she wants to be sure that she can save even one life, and I appreciate that. I understand. All lives are valuable. But she says, it's amazing how you don't tell anyone that you came to me 24 hours beforehand. I said, I was not aware that this was going to be on your agenda. I said, the agenda just came out. Came out 48 hours before the meeting. Guess what? I had it. And I approached you to discuss it. I approached City Councilor Joe Camara the same day in the City Council chamber. That was at the City Council meeting on a Tuesday. And he was supposed to do it, but a motion was made by Councilor Cliff Pont to adjourn, and you and I both know the rules of order. Guess what? Motion to adjourn supersedes all other issues.
Non-debatable, too.
It's non-debatable.
Even though they do debate occasionally.
Yeah, I know.
But it is non-debatable.
But, you know, so not a problem. She goes, well, you only gave it to me 24 hours. It wasn't on the agenda. I said, you know, it's amazing that part of the rules does say that if an issue comes up that was unforeseen, it can be added to the agenda in less than 48 hours. She goes, oh yeah, you want the rules your way for you, but you want us to be stuck by the rules. That is the rules. That is the rules. And the city council does it every day. And she turns around and she says, oh no, I don't do it. Okay, so throw Sean Kadim under the bus then. You know, don't defend it. Do not defend it. Because you know what? When you defend it, you just make yourself look guiltier. You denied me the right to show up at that safety meeting, okay, and give you a full presentation. You said you have citizens' input. That's 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Chip, you and I have done this numerous times. Sometimes you can't get everything out there in 3 minutes, and you know that. And there's no way I can present that in 3 minutes. Well, I'm at the point now where I realize that this fascist council, okay, this fascist council wants things their way. So much so that last night at the Charter Commission meeting, even after being warned, I stopped as many people as I could walking in that had the decency to stop and talk to me and not have me force my hand in their face to say hello. You know what? You were elected by the people to represent the people. You may not like me, but guess what? You still have to represent me. And that means you still have to talk with me. And if I'm talking business, it's business. I don't get into your personal life, okay? But I told them, many of the people that I stopped, before you make a comment, be sure to preface it with this statement. I am not speaking as an elected official. I am speaking as a private citizen. $50 to the person who did it. Guess what? I still got $50 in my pocket. Well, none of them did it. You had a quorum of the city council, a quorum of the school committee. Now, when Ms. Lebeau was outside, I told her, I said, well, you can expect another open meeting law complaint from Patrick Higgins, and now myself, because when you tell me to file the complaint, guess what? I file it. Well, I'm always willing to work with them, okay?
Yeah, well.
And guess what? They don't want to hear it. But, you know, corporate counsel for both the school committee and the city have said, oh, well, you guys don't have a success rate in your open meeting law complaints. You know, here's my success rate. Here's my success rate, okay? This is a determination by the Attorney General, and its docket number or ruling number is, if I can get back to page 1, OML 2016-43. A copy of this was posted yesterday by Patrick Higgins, and it should be available on the Attorney General's website shortly. This found that on November 23rd and 24th, the school committee was guilty of a violation of Mass General Law 30A. They're criminals now. They've been convicted of a crime. Okay, I shouldn't say that. They were adjudicated by the Attorney General as violating this. It's not a criminal matter, but you know what? It's a violation of the law. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution of this Commonwealth and the laws of it. You took an oath. These are not minutia. These are not because I have nothing better to do with my life. Because believe me, to draft these takes a lot of time.
Well,
and this has nothing to do with I just want to be a pain in your backside. This has to do with the people having a right to transparency in government. And if you can't do it, quit, because we don't need it.
Well, I'm glad to see that you didn't get really wound up over this. So, but look, therein lies the problem. This is what you get, and they may get a fine, and they pay the fine with our money anyway. And that's one of the problems. There are no real consequences when people in government just screw the taxpayers and screw everything up. They get something from the Attorney General, they get fined, they take the money out of our tax rate and out of the money that we give this city to run, and they continue to spend money on the wrong things. This is one of the primary problems. So, you know, my April Fool joke was going to be, I was going to announce that the governor of Massachusetts had annexed Fall River to Rhode Island because we're so pathetic they don't even want us in the state anymore.
Well, it's cooler and warmer over there.
It's cooler and warmer. Oh yeah, by the way, some of our viewers who we appreciate said that, you know, we might have spent a little too much time on our marketing strategy, but realistically, we're not spending any time. It's still on the news in Rhode Island about
That's right.
Rhode Island's thing. It was on Channel 10. It was one of the lead stories. Again, the people in Rhode Island are livid about the money they're spending on this absolute crap. And it's like, you know, it's absurd. But this is, as we continue to tell you, this is what government does the best. They create a myth. And the myth is that they're doing something. And everything they do, the end result of everything they do is that all their friends get jobs or companies that they know get work. And this is what happens. That's why we have to be diligent. We have to, you know, you got to file things. You've got to say it. That's why I'm announcing today that I'm creating a statue to be put at the entrance to Fall River. And it's going to be a kind of a facsimile of the Statue of Liberty, except I'm going to call it the Statue of Dependency.
Hey, Chip, can you hold that up and I'll try to zoom in on our first drafts that we've been receiving from our viewers?
It's kind of hard to see.
No, I'm going to bring it in close, Chip.
right,
I'm going to bring it in close. Hold on. Let me get you on the screen. There we go. Isn't that a lovely little picture? And this is from one of our viewers.
Yeah. So, you know, I think it's going to be kind of like the Statue of Liberty, but instead of a torch, it's going to be an EBT card. And we're going to have our old block cheese as a symbolic. I know they don't give it out anymore. You know, and we got a heroin. And, of course, the Iron Lady will be wearing pajamas or sweatsuit bottom, as is the dress uniform for most of Fall River. And so it's a satirical poke, but you know something? It's sad, but it's true.
It's not so satirical.
It's not too far. It's not too far removed from reality. You know, we complain about all the welfare people that are moving into the city, and we're actually recruiting them.
Right.
But the other fact that a lot of people forget, and even our government officials forget, is they continue to maintain this city as a welfare city, a dependency city. We depend more on state aid than any other city in the Commonwealth. I mean, we can't run this city without safer grants and federal grants and state grants, and you know, and that is a sad commentary on the people who are in our government, because you know something? The fact is that it shows their inability to look at what they're doing with our money. They never have enough money for fire and police when we come short. But look at all the money they're wasting. Now we're talking about revisiting the drugs, another job for another friend.
Oh yeah,
they're
lots of those.
creating jobs, you know, at breakneck speed. But we're spending money, and now at the Charter Commission meeting, we're going to get to that later, but we have City Councilor Steve Camara coming up with something that's, you know, it's beyond bizarre. But it's like we're going to create a vice mayor and a mayor, and we're going to have a district. I don't even know if half the stuff's legal. But I mean, you know, and then what got me about this, CJ, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is one of the new ploys that they're using, the new propaganda ploys. Everything that they create, they tell you how they're funding it by eliminating some other jobs.
Well, you know,
we're going to pay the new mayor $60,000 and the vice mayor $40,000, but that's less than the mayor's salary. And then we can do this. Well, look, you know, how about this really unique idea? If we figure out a way to save money, how about paying for police and fire and not threatening to cut public safety all the time? How about investing it in school teachers? How about putting teachers in the classroom? How about doing something and increase services? No, you're going to lay off the people that collect the bills, the middle management that makes sure the work gets done actually on the street, and you're going to put in people in offices with six-figure or nearly six-figure salaries, and this is the way you do it. And now the new justification is, well, I laid off 4 Indians, now I can hire a chief. You know, I laid off 7 Indians, and I can hire 2 chiefs. So, you know, look it. This is the city of dependency. And now it's also the new city of getting every millennial that doesn't have a job a new job.
their first job.
Their first job. So remember, any ideas, send them in.
Yeah, love them.
You know, we'll take ideas, and if you're an artist, which I'm not, I can only do stick figures. but if you're an artist, this is the theme. You know, there's a couple of mandatory things. You have to have the EBT card in it. You know, they have to be wearing pajama bottoms, and you have to have the block cheese, and somewhere in there has to be a heroin needle.
And there's one in that picture. But you know, Chip, it's funny that you bring all this up, because The Nation, which is a magazine, came out with a story about why have Democrats failed in the state where they're most likely to succeed. And guess what state they're talking about? It isn't Utah. They're talking about Massachusetts. And you know, they started touting this as the great story about Fall River again. Yeah, they mentioned Fall River in here. One of the ways they mentioned Fall River is that the former manufacturing town in which workers watch their way of life draining away with the cities that are more than warehouses for people on Medicare. Wow, that's a claim to fame. Gets better. Let's keep going. Okay. Most of the factories are boarded up. Unmistakable emblems of hopelessness, right up to the roof. But the ones that have been successfully repurposed are in some ways even worse. Filled as they are often with enterprises offering cheap suits or help with drug addiction. Drug addiction! A clinic in the hulk of one abandoned mill has a sign on the window reading simply, "Cancer and Blood." The effect of all this is to remind you with every prospect that this is a place and a way of life from which the politicians have withdrawn their blessings like so many other scenes. This is one of the products of decades of industrialization. But, now I'm going to skip a paragraph. Even the city's one real hope for new employment opportunities, an Amazon warehouse that is now, well, it's actually now in the construction stage, will serve to lock in this relationship if all goes according to plan. And if Amazon sticks to the practices it has pioneered elsewhere, people from Fall River will one day get to do exhausting work with few benefits while being electronically monitored for efficiency in order to save the fulfillment customers of nearby Boston a few pennies when they buy a book or electronics. That's what we are. We are a slave market. A slave market. National. Okay? But we're negative. We tell you people this. And guess who did this? It says it in this. And this is not a conservative or liberal news. This is factual news. They said it, the Democrats, the liberals have done this, okay? And this is what happens. And you know, all you gotta do is look at what happens. Look at Charlton Memorial, okay? Charlton Memorial, otherwise known as South Coast Hospital Groups, or South Coast Healthcare. They're merging with Care New England, a Rhode Island-based hospital group that is so broke and in the red that they got rid of OBGYN services. They're bankrupt. The CEO of South Coast Health Group, every report is they're in the red. Employees are asked to take cuts in pay. We have a new position for you if you want to stay working here, but it's $2 less an hour. Okay? But meanwhile, the CEO and the board of directors have not taken a cut in pay. As a matter of fact, they keep giving themselves bonuses for every dollar they save.
Welcome to the real world.
And here's the problem. If you take a job in Fall River and you get paid minimum wage, and you go do that same job in Brockton, you make more money. You get that same job in Boston, you make even more money. But why do you come to Fall River? Because Fall River is slave wages. You are slaves. You are slaves to the man.
Oh,
okay? And that's what happens. And that's what Fall River is. And when you have a city council like we have, that wants to make this story so accurate. They want to make sure that we have the services, all the services, for the opiate addict. Okay? So that they come here. And why? So we can keep the wages low. So the less than 1% that we have in Fall River, that has all the money, all the business, all the property, stay at the less than 1%. And they're making money hand over fist on your back, on your sweat. All we're doing is going back 100 years to the glory days of the mills.
Well, look, CJ, this is not unique to Fall River, but it's something that Fall River has to really, the people of Fall River, and as throughout the country, that's why they're rising up in this election and going for out-of-the-box candidates, because they're frankly fed up with government and the people who are in government that always make sure that them and their friends always get a piece of the pie, and all the rich get taken care of. I mean, I remember a while back when Polaroid collapsed, reading an article about how everybody who worked for Polaroid, all the workers, lost their pensions, were terminated without warning, lost pensions, lost, their livelihood. Some of them had worked there for 18, 19, 20 years, and their pension was out the window. But every single person from the CEO down that was an upper management position got a golden parachute. As a matter of fact, I think the CEO of Polaroid, after he drove the company into bankruptcy, gave himself a $5 million golden parachute. And all his other people got the same thing. And you know what the reason was? He justified it. He said, well, these are the people that are going to help restructure the company. Well, you moron, it was you and those clowns that ran the company into bankruptcy. But you figured out a way to make money. You figured out a way to give yourself the money that you were going to give the people who worked like slaves in your factories, and you took that money and you gave yourself a golden parachute, and you took their pensions away, and you took what they've earned away and ruined their lives. So forgive me if I don't like the 1%ers, and forgive me if I don't like governments that continually screw over and stomp on the working man. The fact is, and it's Fall River is a microcosm of the world we see here. It's a lot more bizarre here, the way it happens. I have to say that. It is kind of much more bizarre. But this happens everywhere, and you know the only cure to this disease? You, as a voter. You got to keep throwing them out and replacing them until we get people in there who really care. And we're going to take our money, really, really reorganize this city, cut all the fat out, not lay off all the Indians and hire more chiefs and say, well, it's not really costing us any money. We freed up this money by laying off people that are actually going to provide services to the taxpayers and kill you with tax increases. And while they won't tax for profits. Charlton, again, what did CJ just say? The board of directors didn't take a pay cut. The CEO didn't take a pay cut. They're going to probably get bonuses. But they're telling the workers they're running in the red. It's probably due to lawsuits for malpractice, but who knows? They're running in the red. They're always running in the red. But the fact is, this is what happens. The rich get rich and the poor get poorer. So we've ultimately eliminated the middle class throughout this country. This is the reason we're having a revolt now. And it's time for the people to get up there and realize that we are the only answer to this problem. You know, Carlos runs a neighborhood association, and he sees this every day out there on the streets. He sees the difficulty businesses have, the people who go in every day and work for a living, not the businesses, not the big money men who get their roads paved, out of sequence. They don't have to wait to get the road in front of their business paved. They don't have to wait for their TIFs. They don't pay anything, and they get highly insulted if you ask them to contribute anything. What? Me contribute? You're supposed to give me the money.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to give you the money. And you know something? It's mind-boggling. They've gotten away with it for years and years and decades and hundreds of years. Goes back to the 18th. But you know why? The cure has always been the same. There are more of us working people than there are of them. And the only power we have is in the vote. And if you don't go there and deal with these people by kicking their butts out of office every 2 years, and if I had my way, I'd have an election every 6 months, but just to keep them honest. But if you don't do it, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but now I'm happy because all the stuff that you just mentioned is in a 6-minute video that's going to promote for River. And all that information, you can just watch the video, and all that stuff, it's in there. You will find all that stuff in
That's
there.
right, all of it. I mean, presents the entire fact, Yep. I've never.
So I'm happy. I'm glad that the Chamber of Commerce finally got the video they were looking for.
And got the city to pay for it.
Got
the city to pay for it. That's right.
And now we're going to go out there and we're going to fund a lot of companies that's going to move into Fall River.
Oh, yeah, tons.
Sure, Carl. April Fool.
Hey, but you know what? When we're talking about the rich stealing from the poor, let's thank Terry Sullivan because it looks like water and sewer rates are going up in 2017. And his response to requests for information was, that's not public record because that's the enterprise fund, and it doesn't become public record until it's accepted by the city council. So we don't know how much they're going to go up, but he says that they need more money because the federal regulators have stepped in. You ever notice how they always blame the federal government?
Yeah, of course. They blame everybody. But see, that's the old con. And that's why, if that's the case, the rules got to be changed. Because, if somebody walks up to you and says, I want to borrow some money, and you say, how much? And they go, as much as I can get.
Right. And
that's what they're basically saying. We're not going to tell you how much we're going to do until after you approve it. And any city councilor votes for that under those conditions.
They always wait till the last minute and then they vote on it because, I had no choice.
They should have.
I have no choice. You know what? If they can't get it to you in a timely fashion where you have enough time to read it, you turn around and you say, we're not voting on it until such time as I can review it. End of story, and table it.
That's right.
And table it.
Oh, they can't do that, though, because a motion to table is non-debatable. They don't know how to deal with it.
They don't know how to do that, yeah.
But, it's bizarre, and I wanted to touch, but, we've got so much to talk about here on this show. I wanted to talk a little bit about that charter commission, but we don't really have the time to get into Steve Camara's, reconfiguration of bizarro.
5 wards,
Yeah.
two people from each ward, one for school committee, one for city council. and then the election of a mayor and vice mayor who will oversee both bodies.
Just what we need, more bureaucracy.
Right, so-
But the other thing is, what's getting me is, I'm not even sure if that's legal. Because he says that you have to get all your nomination papers from your neighborhood,
Right.
district, or wherever euphemism you put. But then you're voted on by the entire city. So what that sounds to me like is that you've got to make sure that you get your support in your neighborhood, but then we're going to pretend that you represent the whole city.
Right.
You can't get on a ballot unless you sell your soul to your neighborhood. But when you get on a ballot, you're voted on by the whole city. So that's a de facto way of trying to say, oh yeah, you know, even though they're nominated by their own district, they do represent the whole city.
Right.
Baloney. That's baloney, and I'm not even sure it's legal because, you know, if that was legal, I'm going to go down and talk to the election board and say, in the next election, I want to vote for all the state reps.
That's
That
right.
cover Fall River. Because what the hell? It doesn't matter I'm not in their district. I get to vote for people from who
Another
are nominated
ward.
in a district or a ward. Now, so why can't I vote for whoever the hell I want for state rep in the city of Fall River? Why do we bother having districts? You know, the whole thing is, look, it's more government, and how did he justify it? Well, we give the new mayor only $60,000, and a vice mayor. Just what we need, more bullshit titles. That's what we need. That's what we need forever. More titles, right? So, and we're going to pay him $40,000, so that's $100,000. So we're saving $20,000, and we can waste that somewhere else, giving somebody else a political job.
Right.
And that's the way they operate it. Because so far, since the beginning of this administration, I've seen a lot of positions eliminated, and I've seen a lot of justifications, but I haven't seen one justification for hiring a firefighter or a police officer. They're all giving their buddies jobs.
And I've already started looking into that, and I'm finding lots of information that I really am getting disgusted with. But I'm going to be breaking that shortly. I do have a meeting with the mayor on Tuesday at 10 a.m. But, you know, I find it very interesting that that meeting is being held right after the first date any group of citizens can file a recall petition. So, because that's Monday the 4th. That's the magic day. You know, real quick, because we only got a couple of minutes left, the charter bill, which our state senator supported so vehemently, I guess, to protect our school system, actually is detrimental to the charter school system. So thanks again, Mike Rogers, again, for pandering to the unions and the people and not pandering or giving your constitution, your constituents, your constitutional obligation fair representation. Because what this does is it places restrictions on charter schools, and that's unacceptable. And I'm going to tell you now, even Governor Baker said, this isn't what I'm looking for. Because I have one statement about that. The charter schools are doing a better job than the public school system on less money. So maybe the public school systems need to start looking at that. And they're blaming unions and this and that and the other thing. No, you know what? If you want to have a capitalistic society, then stop competing. Make your money appropriately. The last thing, because we have less than a minute, Lynn becomes the first Massachusetts city to end veterans' homelessness. Amazing. They actually came up with the idea and did it. I wonder why we can't. Maybe Fall River should start looking into that.
Well, Lynn's such an affluent city.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know, it's like, but they figure, yeah, it's amazing how they can figure out everything in the rest of the world.
Yep.
Only Fall River can't figure anything out. The only thing they know how to do is create new jobs and spend more taxpayer money and never ever charge anybody.
And one last thing. The VFW Post on Bedford Street lost their flagpole. And when they
went stolen.
And when they went to put it back up, somebody stole it. So they're having a fundraiser. Contact the auxiliary at the VFW Post for help. Thank you for watching. Carlos, you were quiet all day today. You look like a bookend.
I have nothing else to add. I said it all.
Stay angry.
Stay
remember,
angry. Thank you.
Your sewer rates are going up, and your taxes, and your fees. You like that? I love the pants.
we need